What is up, everybody? We are back with another one here. As you guys can probably see from the title, it's time for a ripper. We got a motorcycle. She's a 1985 Honda Magna 500. It's going to be an absolute antique gem. Hopefully it's an easy fix. Got it, actually, guy like right down the road posted it, and it was pretty dusty and rusty, and not rusty, I shouldn't say that. It was covered in dirt and out in the chicken coop. So I told him if he still had it tomorrow, I'd come look at it. And I got to thinking, I'm like, It was the next day. He posted it late. It was the next day. I'm like, I might be able to try to get this right now. And I was the first one there. He was after a couple of days. I think people were deterred by the dirt. I mean, this thing's got a layer of dust on it thicker than Grandpa's glasses. I mean, it has been sitting there for 10 years, he said. Last registered in like 10, I think. Anyway, I stopped on the way home last night from working and paid them and got the title, so we're going to go take delivery. Actually, take pickup, I guess you should say. So hopefully I can get a little clip of that. We can grab a little trailer over here, and we got a $50 topper for the $2,500 Rado. That's gonna be sweet. We just give it some old bed line on there with not the shooter, not the Raptor stuff that I really like to use, but we just hit it with some cans of bed liner because it's just gonna be on there in the winter and just needed a little coat. So it was white before, so that's gonna be cool. So we're gonna grab that trailer. We're gonna get going. Let's take delivery on this thing. First thing we're gonna do probably is power wash it, clean it up. Batteries, I'm toast, obviously, probably. I got a jet ski battery I can throw in there, and we're gonna make sure it cranks, make sure she has spark. Then we're gonna probably empty the gas. He said he put stable in it, but stable isn't gonna last 10 years, dude. And we're gonna probably empty the tank, put some fresh gas in it, and I'm pretty positive it's gonna need carburetor rebuild if it's been sitting that long. But we'll try to fire it on those and see if it fires. So let's go get it. Let's power wash it and see what we got. We've resurrected her from the grave here. We loaded her up. That was a quick process. Look at where she was sitting for 10 years. Let's get her home. All right, here she is, guys. 1985 Honda Magna V30 V500C or some crap like that. Got her all washed up. She's navy blue, looks like. Pleasant surprise. Not bad, not bad. Cleaned up pretty good. Pretty sweet. I got this jet ski battery just sitting in here because it doesn't fit, but the battery he gave me was obviously a little dead after 10 years, but check this one out. Power, lights, and she turns. She turns just nice. So next step here, we're gonna take the gas out of there, siphon it out, drain it, don't really know. Put some fresh in there and see if just by chance it fires and runs. I don't know. Worth a shot, I guess, before I tear into the carbs. We're just gonna see from there. And then, yeah, here we got nothing in the clutch. So I'll run that line and see if it's the line that's messed up or if it's leaking somewhere. Maybe. He did give me an extra clutch lever with it and line, so worst case scenario, I swap that out and bleed it and go from there. All right, so let's get the gas taken care of. All right, so a little update here. We've got, I ended up taking the gas tank off. It kind of just hinges up, and a couple bolts in the front, and there's a couple lines right here that connect to a secondary tank. That was full of old nasty gas, so it's really hard to get out, and I might actually have to take it out later because I'm thinking about redoing fuel lines. I think it's leaking down here in the fuel shutoff. There's some things. There's actually a fuel pump in this. So right down below the battery, there's a fuel shutoff and a fuel pump too. I'm thinking about redoing the lines of that because they're old and never been changed, and probably a reason it's leaking. I think maybe it's leaking out of the valve itself, but I don't know. Anyway, long story short, I pumped the fuel out of this with like a little Harbor Freight siphon pump. Pumped it right out of here. You can kind of shove it down in there when you take the gas tank off and pump that out. And then there's a fuel line right here that kind of goes all the way from the fuel pump and then connects right here. I just replaced this short piece. Like I said, I'm probably going to replace the whole piece once I really start digging into this thing. But select the battery on there, and as you can see, we got power, we got horn works. It took a minute to get going, so I kind of prematurely pumped it over, and kind of heard some sputtering. So I think we might have something by now. Yesterday when I was turning it over and sputtering it just to see if it would try to start, we had some fuel leakage out of probably the carbs. So I'm pretty positive I'm going to need a carb rebuild, but let's just see what we got here. Shoo! Well, you get the idea, you heard it. We got a runner, we've got more work to do. I think I might end up shipping the carbs off to get them rebuilt. I just don't see the appeal in taking apart 4 tiny little tricky carbs and putting them back together and having them not work. Might just ship them off, get them done. It's like $300, but I don't think it needs that much else. So if we're talking $600, $700 total, that's not bad. It's an old ripper. It's probably worth like $1,000. So if it's running and polished up, so you know, I don't think that's too much of an issue. So that's probably what we're gonna do. But in the meantime, we can figure out the old clutch cylinder and spit shiner up. So yeah, let's keep going. Alright, you guys, got bored. I'm out here. Out here in the garage. I'm bleeding the clutch to see if we can get any pressure out of it, because that's what the guy said the reason he parked the bike, because the clutch went out on him, and he said it was just a hydraulic clutch. He's got a whole brand new, or not brand new, but new used clutch right here sitting next to me, just in case I need it. But I'm gonna see if I can get this one going. I'm air bleeding it right now. Printed off a handy dandy manual, and I'm kind of doing what it says. So pressing the clutch, cracking the bleeder, letting it go, letting it drip into my little catch jar, closing it, releasing slow. When I release slow, it looks like it's sucking brake fluid, and so that's what I'm doing. Just depress, crack, close, release, and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Now, I think I just read, squeeze the clutch lever, then open the bleeder valve a half a turn. Oh no, squeeze the clutch lever completely. So I'm gonna keep doing this. Let's see how it goes. See if I'll update you, see if I can get some pressure. Alright, so a few days later, we couldn't get any pressure out of the clutch, and then I saw, finally we were able to see it dripping out of the slave cylinder down here. So we ordered a rebuild kit for that. That's coming in the mail. Next thing I'm going to get going right now is getting to the fuel pump down there and replacing the fuel lines, and then grabbing the carbs off of here and getting those in the mail. I'm just gonna have them rebuilt. It's like probably $100 for a good quality, like $125 for 4 good quality K&L kits. So I'm just gonna spend the $300 and ship them off to this pro dude on eBay who knows what he's doing. And then I will ship them in the mail, get them back, and they'll be ready to slap on, and this thing should purr. So that's definitely what we're gonna do. So let's get cracking on the fuel pump and carbs. All right, so we got that fuel pump and fuel filter and fuel shutoff is all one piece. It's kind of in a little thing I'll show you. Had to take the back tire off so you can get so you can pull it out right underneath that flap. You can kind of see right there. Pulls out there, and it's got a couple bolts right here that unbolts right here underneath the battery. So you kind of, and then you have to kind of get in there with your pliers to undo the things. But replace this main fuel line. This one goes up, runs down from that, underneath the battery tray, up, and then around into the carb. So it's that one right there. So we got that replaced. Now we're gonna move over to the bench. Well, actually, we're not gonna do this right now, but here's that piece I was telling you about. So kind of sits in here just like this. This sits on there like that. So it sits in here, and then there's your pump and your fuel filters in there. Got a new fuel filter right here. And then the fuel petcock was leaking, and I don't feel like trying to replace that with a used one for $20 that fits right nice in these holes. So we got the $6 cheapies, and I got the 91, so it's kind of sitting there, something like that. It's not going to be fastened in, but it's not really that big a deal. It'll still be kind of in the right spot. This basically goes just like this. So that's the old one. Imagine the handle being there. And we're just going to put one like this right here. So that's that. Next thing we got going on right now actually is the rebuild kit on the slave cylinder. Just came today, so that's the next thing we're going to do. We're going to pull this off. Couple Allens. Pull that off, disconnect this. Rebuild that slave cylinder real quick, see if we can't get pressure. I think that should do it, hopefully. If not, I'm stumped. But let's get it. All right, you guys, I had to stop the time lapse. I didn't think that was going to actually happen for me. I thought something's screwed, but these things are a bugger to bleed. I don't know what it was, and hopefully that slave cylinder was actually bad. But I actually got her firmed up, and it took me forever. I was taking that caliper off, and I was raising it up and then bleeding it up here and adding, I don't even know what I did, but finally worked all the air out of it. There must have been air somewhere trapped in there, but that was such a bugger, but we got her done, so that's huge. Now the next step is put the new fuel filter on, and then swap these few extra lines, throw that back in. The rear brake was sticking a little bit, so we'll try to free that up. I'm sure it's just been sitting a while, so it just needs to be worked a little bit. I'll work the caliper, throw some brake clean in there, and then we'll get that slapped back in, hook all the fuel lines back up. Then all we gotta do is pull out the carbs, ship them off, get them back, and then fire this bad boy up and start ripping. So let's start working back on this fuel pump and get that back in. All right, so we've got everything back together. Actually, we threw the wheel on. I didn't get that in the video, but threw the wheel on. We fixed the drum brake issue. It was just there's a little piece that pivots, and then when it pivots, it pushes the brake pads apart, and that piece was just real, kind of had some rust on it, so I just sanded it down and put some more grease on it, so now it spins freely, so it'll return to the position easy with that brake. So the next step here is we're gonna grab the carbs out of there, send them off, and throw them back in and see what we got. Then if we got a nice runner, we're gonna give her a spit shine, and that's gonna be about all. So let's get those back. Boom. So just like that, guys, we got the carbs back. Took about a week and a half. Man, this guy did a great job. It got him down on eBay. Guy in Wisconsin, Jim, I believe. Shout out to Jim if you ever find yourself watching this video with Romax Cycles. Did a killer job. Looks great. And I don't doubt that they're going to perform very well. So let's get them thrown back in. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you a certified runner. Certified idler. We knew she was a runner. She's a certified runner now. Idler, runner, whatever you want to call it. She's idling just nice. So I'll give you an update what we did. We threw the carbs in there and we threw the air box. So I was... it's actually the next day. I I put everything back together without the air filter in because I was waiting to try to get a new one. But it was idling real high and I couldn't get the idle adjusted, so I just gave up yesterday. But I came back and gave it the old college try today, and what we found out is definitely have to have the air filter in or else it'll rev to all you know what. And actually the throttle was a little tight, so it was kind of acting funny when I was doing it. But when I put the air filter back in and actually loosened the throttle cable a little bit on the carb up here in the front, and one of the two throttle cables, got it to stop acting funny. And then I had the idle adjusted way low because I was yesterday trying to stop it from running idling at 5,000 RPM. But when I actually got everything back together right, then I just put it back to where it was, probably when the guy sent them back. So shout out to him again. He sent them back probably mint, but that was just my fault. But now we got a certified runner idler. Next thing, this is a mess here, wow. Next thing we're going to do, pretty much the last things we're going to do probably, I'm not trying to do a full-on restoration, just get her running tip-top. We're going to give her a test drive. You know, we got snow out there, Christmas and everything else, so probably not going to give her a test drive anytime soon unless it warms up for a day or two or gets really nice and dry on the roads. But we got oil, change the oil. We got oil filter as well in there somewhere. We're going to do spark plugs. We've got an LED headlight, which we're going to put on there. What else we got? Genuine Honda shift knob thing for the foot shifter, the rubber piece. They got a hose on it now. Pegs for little bar throttle. So let's get into that. Here we go. We got her back together. We got an absolute runner here, guys. Bad unit. Change plugs, put those grips on as you saw. Change the oil. Put everything back on. The only thing left to do is A, give her a spin, and 2, shine her up. But that is boring and you probably don't want to watch that. I will make a video probably of the final product in the spring, once we get some warm weather and I get out and shine her up. The battery was not the right one. It was a little bit too big, but it did fit in there, so that's cool. But pretty stoked, guys. Let's give this thing a rip. It's, you know, cold and icy and whatever, but who cares? It's gonna do it for another successful flip, you guys. Or not a flip, I ain't selling this thing. This thing's too sweet to flip, to sell. We're gonna run this boy until she blows. Who knows? But it'll be a fun little summer thing. Had a bike before, but this thing is just something to not care about. Under $1,000, you know. Good little starter if anybody wants to ride and try to ride, have at her. So I'm gonna end it with the video of me going for a rep. Hopefully that happens. But thanks for tuning in. See you later.